everyone, and welcome to Playoffs Round 1 Review, Playoffs Round 2 Preview. I am your champion. I have the trophy right here. I've had it for 5 years now. It's still here. It's here every day. And I'm joined by Joel Gibson. Joel Gibson, how are we feeling?
I feel all right. A little bittersweet of a day, but I'm feeling all right.
Yeah, I mean, not getting 10 wins in a season's pretty tough, but without Halliburton and how injured you've been, I will give you your credit. Even getting into the playoffs and competing, it was an impressive streak. But I'm exhausted. We're having the baby tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. So I will get pictures and whatnot out to everybody as I can. We do not know boy or girl, but we're ready. We got the new car that you saw, the spaceship. We got the car seats in there. Now we're packing for two at this point. Just really trying to love on Ollie this weekend. That's what we've been doing. Got him some new toys, but your champ is always focused. Your champ is always ready, and somehow he will endure during these next 2 weeks of having a newborn and beating Doug's ass. We'll get there, but I just wanted to say that to start the top. I am him, okay? Now, let's just get into the matchups here. We're shooting this mid-Sunday because all the matchups at this point are decided. They were probably decided yesterday. It would have been really funny if we had shot the video yesterday and just been like, hey, we already know who's winning. So we're just gonna shoot it. That would have been really funny if we would have done that. Maybe next year, if it's this lopsided, we'll try to shoot it as early as possible and guess.
Maybe next round.
Could be next round. We don't know. We'll start with the number 1 seed because, like I said last week, 2 weeks ago, or actually the beginning of February, I apologize because when we did the review, we started with my matchup. I was the 3 seed, so we'll start with Kyle's matchup here, and Kyle beats Neiman. After entering the luxury tax for his first year and losing his remaining $3. He does get the job done against Neiman. That's going to go into next year. I think Kyle's in a really interesting situation, especially after the cap raises and everything. He can't hit that tier 2, because if he hits that tier 2, losing that much free agency money, it's going to limit his trades that he loves to do. It's going to limit a lot of stuff. So that's going to be something interesting to just watch in the offseason. But congratulations to Kyle. He makes it to the second round this year. Joe, anything on this matchup? I don't think that Neiman really had a shot. He didn't cycle, though. I don't know why he wasn't cycling more against Kyle with no money. But he didn't, and Kyle wins.
Yeah, that's really the disappointing part, is he could have made this probably the most compelling matchup if he had cycled.
Mm-hmm.
That said, Siakam injured, Sabonis injured, and overall, Kyle's just got the better team.
Yep.
Markkanen out, Nurkic out. There's a lot of injuries on Neiman's team, but he could have cycled. He could have made it tough on Kyle. Like you mentioned, him going into him being able to hit that second luxury next year. What would that be? $100 of his?
It's $100. Yeah. So let's talk about it, because this is the perfect time to talk about it. If he stays within $10 of the cap, then it'll only be a level 1 year 2 luxury tax, or year 2 level 1 tax, and he would lose $100. Now, if he goes to that $11 over the cap and gets hit with the luxury, that's the full 150. That's everything. That's all of his free agency money. So he has to stay, and keep in mind, I've said this before, right now, based on the averages and how we've been determining cap raises, it's going to be like $13 to $15. So that's going to automatically put him into year 2, tier 2. That if he is above that cap line and plays players, he's going to lose all of his free agency right away. So definitely some interesting things. And keep in mind also, that includes drafting players, drafting rookies and stuff like that. If there's a rookie really out there that you want and you're going to add more to your cap on top of the cap raise, it's going to be an interesting situation for Kyle here. And I just do want to shout out to Kyle only because in the offseason, he traded away Wemby. Like, I think that we don't give him enough credit, and I know that you're not the biggest fan of giving Kyle credit, but we do have to understand that he traded away Wemby, and still it made it to the Final Four of this year. So I will shout out Kyle for that in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, his collection of forwards, JJJ, Tatum, Durant, Randall, let's see, and Jalen Johnson is really impressive.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive. He is going to be one of the top teams going forward in the league. He just has some things going against him to start next year, and it'll be really interesting to see how he pivots and handles those cap issues.
Yeah, taking the first luxury this year was almost like the worst thing that could have happened, because at least next year he could have taken the over the cap, and even a level 2, it's only $75. So it's interesting that it was a mistake, and I think he'll acknowledge it was a mistake. But it's definitely going to play into next year as far as what he's able to do. That being said, we'll move to the number 2 seed matchup. That's Doug. Doug takes care of Joel Gibson and denies him the 10th win on the season. And I know that's the benchmark of what we do for a good season. So Joel, very mediocre season from Joel Gibson without Halliburton. Man. Yikes.
I would say that a 9-win season, without doing any math, roughly translates to like a 45-win season. Without Halliburton, without Kyrie, without Lively.
Right.
And then a lot of other injuries this year. Garland was right for only a handful of games.
Yep.
Wagner has been out all year. I really wanted this to be a matchup of Cooper Flag versus Wemby, the two best young prospects in the league.
Yep.
And Coop sat basically, I believe, every game.
Yeah.
So it just really wasn't the matchup I was hoping for. Doug took care of business, like you said. He didn't have to cycle me. He just fucking took it to me. And when you're down with 11 guys with injury flags, it just don't take that much. It's a little disappointing, but my future is in the future. And I think Doug is a bright future too, though.
Absolutely. And I do want to shout out you with Cooper. He really started to come on there, and he's literally being everything that we wanted in the draft. I mean, he's incredible. I think with a decent point guard, if Kyrie plays next season, I don't know if he's going to play, but you're pretty confident that Kyrie's coming back. So that being said, I think that you have a bright future, and I think that you'll be right up there again next year with Halliburton, with a little more ammunition. So it's definitely going to be interesting next year. So I'd like to thank Neiman. I'd like to thank you, but goodbye, fellas. We don't care about you anymore.
Can I throw just one more future plot line in the mix for me and Doug?
Absolutely, because I love this rivalry. I want it to be this matchup first round again next year. I honestly do.
I hope it is too. Doug, I believe, took me out of the playoffs 2 years ago. It may have been last year. But really what I was going to point to is in the offseason, I dropped Anthony Black. I kind of gave up on him, and Anthony Black had a great season. Doug picked him up, one of the best pickups of the year. Doug also had a great pickup of A.J. Mitchell, who was really, really good this year.
Yep.
And Doug dropped him twice in this matchup. And the first time he dropped him, I hemmed and hawed over whether to pick this guy up. And then Doug picked him back up, and I immediately regretted not having got him. When Doug dropped him again, I picked him up immediately. I said, I'm not going to make that mistake twice. I think these two players seeing how their careers pan out over the next few years, which one is more valuable, will be a really interesting little subplot between us.
Especially with Black kind of taking a back turn the last couple weeks. It's been a little rough for sure. I'm not, and I love Anthony Black. You know that I love Anthony Black. You know that for this season, the whole time, I was like, man, if I'd have just kept him. But now I'm not really too disappointed, at least for this year in the playoffs. I'm not too disappointed that I moved on from him. But like I said, Doug, he moves on.
Yep, I think those guys are both in interesting kind of six-man positions. Like, not necessarily playing the sixth man, but they're the fifth or sixth best players on their respective teams.
I agree. Next matchup, we'll get into the number 3 seed matchup versus Adam. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Adam and I have a little bit of history about me eliminating Adam from the playoffs. It happens a lot. It happens a lot of times. And this time was no different. I was injured quite a bit. I had people out. I had a lot of people out, a lot of random people sitting. Booker, Jay Will. People sitting random games. I have Nemhard who's sitting out. I've had, you know what I mean? And Joker was injured to start the matchup as well. So we got to remember that. I had a lot of injuries, but you know what I didn't have? I didn't have any kind of reservations as far as adding people. And I was cycling a few spots where I needed to do, and I put up the best line of these playoffs. Now, if that changes with these games or whatever, that technically, Kyle might put up a different line that he beats me by like one category or something like that. It could happen. But remember, LeBron was injured. Reeves was injured. All these people were injured, but my team endured and I put up a monster line. There's a very good possibility that I put up 2,000 points. 30 double-doubles, 5 triple-doubles, Joel Gibson. We can keep going. 502 points made. There is a ridiculous amount of actual stats that I was still able to put up with limited cycling. And now I turn my attention to the number 2 seed, and we'll get there. But I win this matchup, and boy, my team looks incredible. Give me my flowers, Joel Gibson.
It's a good win by you. Adam is down a couple of key cogs, Zach LaVine and Walker Kessler.
Absolutely.
I think those guys are both top 50 players. So pretty important to his team, but if he really wanted to take it to you, I think he should have been cycling the Jarris Walker, the Cam Thomas, the Bobby Portis spots, and just cycling you every single fucking day.
I agree with you. I was shocked that he wasn't. He did add a couple times, but when you're playing a team like me, I can tell you that I'm watching cycling. I'm watching the wire. I am hungry to get the hot ads. Precious Achua. I am hungry to get these people. And, if you're going to go against me, you got to be paying attention. You got to be willing to add, and you've got to put up numbers. And Adam, hey, he had great steals. Normally he's strong in threes. I'm surprised that wasn't more competitive this time. But he was missing a little bit of pieces. But I think that, if he's able to acquire a piece or two in the future, that he's definitely going to be a competitive team. I enjoy eliminating Adam. I seem to do it quite a bit, like I said. And I'm just excited to move on. It was a tough matchup at the start. It was way closer than I wanted it to be. And I want you to know that I guaranteed that I would win every single day of this matchup. I only lost 2 of the 15 scoring days. So if you win 13 of the 15 scoring days, you are definitely going to win the matchup. And that's exactly what happened right here.
Thank you for a good season, Adam.
Thank you for a good season, Adam. We move on. The next matchup is Eric versus CJ. Eric out there on the wire a few times. CJ injured. He's had some good bright spots, and some things to make you feel good. But with no free agency money, Eric made a few crucial adds and really started opening it up, especially after the All-Star break. It was very close after the All-Star break. I think it was 7-5 to 5-5 in Eric's favor. But after he started adding a few people, he ran away with it. And this is just a perfect example to show if you have the ability to cycle, you can open up a large lead, and especially against a team with no free agency money. That's exactly what's going to happen. Eric becomes the fifth team that has 10 wins. And CJ loses after having a 10-win season. Anything else besides thanking CJ, good job next year. Maybe he can stay healthy. He's still going to be competitive next year. He's got the.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think for CJ, not to cut you off.
No.
It's more than not just having the waiver money. Just so beat up with Butler out, Beal out, Paul George suspended, Anthony Davis out, McBride out, Embiid out.
Yep.
I think Williamson, Zion finally sat some games after a nice healthy stretch.
Yep.
That's just so many injuries with nothing, no cycle abilities.
Yep.
And then he's been harboring Kyle Kuzma for forever at $21, which hasn't been helping him a whole lot.
No.
For CJ, I think this is a good team. I don't know if the future is bright long term, but this is a good team. And if we know he'll be on the wire next year. If this team can be healthy, he could really be a problem for somebody.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years, I think, is his kind of window right now. It's interesting, if he has free agency money and stuff like that next year, we'll see how it goes. I think there are some cap pieces that he can get rid of that are going to keep him under the cap. But like I said, I think he has a 2 to 3 year window here where he's going to be competitive. He was top 4 this year. And so I think that next year, and what I believe in, and you and I have agreed on this, next year I believe is going to be the most competitive season that we have ever seen in this league's history. And I think that it's going to be incredibly interesting. Every game is going to mean something next year. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to see what teams do. Him and Kyle are probably the closest that have the cap issues. I'm right behind them. I think I only have like $6 free of cap. But like I said, I think that next year is going to be the most competitive year. So thank you, CJ, for a good season. And next year, I know he's probably already scheming. He's waiting for that free agency money to reload. And I think he's going to be able to get himself in a position to, again, might be top 4. We might be talking next year for CJ. And you and I have always promoted CJ. That's the thing. We've always said that, he has the team, he has the pieces, he just has to find a way to put them all together at the same time and make a big run.
Yeah, I mean, he always gets old, accomplished guys that have injuries.
Yep. And it'll be interesting to see what AD does next year. That's my big highlight for him. That being said, we'll move into the consolation bracket. We've got Matt beating.
Can I just make one last note?
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Eric. You did that without Porzingis and without Giannis, that whole matchup. His best work is yet to come.
I agree, and also keep in mind that he started out 1-4 or 1-5, and now he's in the final 4 of the league. That's hard to do. That's really, really hard to do. And we don't see it very often. So definitely shout out to Eric. That's a good point. Definitely. Next, we'll go into the consolation bracket, the battle for first pick. Jake wisely started sitting his players against Matt. This is a huge play for Jake. The worst case scenario for him is he has a number 2 pick and maybe so at least he has 2 and 4. But he has a chance now. If Matt beats Steven, he has a chance for the 1-2. And I thought this was a brilliant play from Jake. I don't know. We kind of spoon fed him a little bit for the video, if he was watching the video, which clearly he was. Because, right afterwards, he started sitting players. He does now have the chance. And if you're going to have a tank season and you're going to come out with it with the possibility of having 1-2 for a strong 1-3 draft, I think that this was a very good season from Jake. I really do. As far as like future building, I get what he's trying to do. I think there's a little bit of bottom problems for him, but I also think he has a lot of assets as well. So when he's ready to start building, I think he has the assets to really become competitive. I think we see Jake as a playoff team next year. So shout out to Jake for a good season. Could turn into a great season if Matt goes on to beat Steven.
If Matt goes on to beat Steven, this really secures Jake as his team has reset his image.
Yep.
And I hope that happens for Jake. Matt has really no reason to go for it without having the pick, but I love the competitiveness.
If I was Jake if I was Jake, I'm calling Matt every day, just whispering sweet nothings in his ear, Just like, what do I got to get you to do to throw a double cycle? Yeah, just like, what do I got to get you to do to start doing double cycles? Like, I don't know what he needs to do or what he needs to give Matt, but I'm paying the price if Matt's double cycling and I've got the chance at the 1-2. That being said, we'll get into Steven beating Cody, and I think that Cody is going to be a top 5 team next year. So let me preface that with what I'm about to say. I think that this was cataclysmically a failure for Cody in the consolation this year. He totally collapsed. He totally pulled back without Tatum, who he ended up trading anyway. He pulled back to get into this consolation bracket. He ends up losing to Steven because of injuries. He traded Steven back his pick. Steven beats him in the consolation bracket, and now Steven has a chance at the number 1 pick. The best pick that Cody can hope for here is a 3. If Matt wins, it's actually a 4 for Cody. I think this was a monumental, I don't want to say collapse. I don't even know what's below tanking. Like, you tanked to get yourself into this position, but then it didn't work out how you thought it was going to work out, and then it just kind of blew up. Everything blew up. And I'm not saying it to, like, attack Cody. He has a great team. He's going to be a top contender next year. But this is not how he wanted his season to go. I can say that for sure.
Yeah, my take is that Steven Thornhill is a real American hero. We all really needed this to happen. If Cody, who has Luka, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, fucking Josh Giddey.
You can keep going.
Zubac, Trae Young, Alex Sarr. If he had added a top 3 pick, a top 2 pick.
Yeah.
We would have been in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
We are very, very fortunate that he got injured at the time that he did.
Yep.
Entering the consolation bracket, and that Steven Thornhill came in there and
put up a great line. A great line. Like, if you... if you look at his line compared to the people in the playoffs right now, Steven could have beat, it might be half of the playoff teams right now. I mean, his lines were incredible. It was just,
Steven came all up inside him.
yeah, it was very unfortunate, and I know that injuries play a big part, and there's not a lot that Cody can do for that. I'm not blaming Cody. I'm blaming the situation that he ran into that literally just made it look like I said, a big collapse. Like, especially losing to Steven. Again, not his control. But if you look at all the parts, it's just like, wow, this did not go how he wanted it to go at all.
Remind me, at the beginning of this season, I don't believe that Cody was tanking. I think he made that decision somewhat, like a quarter into the season? Does that sound
Where
right?
he started sitting everybody? I think so, yeah. I really think so. And it's interesting because had he wound up in a matchup with Matt or Jake, we could be talking about different situations here. But Steven, if he was going to be in the bottom there, I think the problem was the trade to give Steven his pick back. He had a lot of insurance that he could get one of those top 3 picks. And he chose to bet that his team would be healthy at the time. And it did not go that way. And like, it's not Cody's fault. It's definitely not his fault. Him getting Sarr, him getting Trae Young, those were great ads for next year, no doubt. But it's just
almost guaranteed what player he got probably wouldn't be as good as Trae Young.
right. And so I get why he made those decisions. But I think that if he made those decisions, he was making them with the idea of, oh, I can still run through the consolation bracket and be okay. And that's not what happened.
Steven Thornhill and Kevin Porter Jr. fucking took care of business.
Kevin Porter Jr. just put monster numbers up for Steven.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, shout out to Cody, great season. Shout out to Jake, great season.
Shout out to Kevin Porter Jr.
Steven Thornhill should be tattooing KPJ on him somewhere if he gets this #1 pick, because
I think I might change my team name back to KPJ for Prez.
All right, let's get into playoffs round 2. The first matchup, the #1 seed versus the #5 seed. You've got Kyle versus Eric. Now, Kyle can't add anybody, and Eric has a lot of free agency money. You and I talked about this a little bit. We have not seen a true cycle strategy from Eric. If we see a true cycle strategy from Eric, I think that he can beat Kyle. I really do. But that relies a lot on him having a cycle strategy. And right now, if you tell me who has the better team, it's Kyle. But if he can stack up an extra 10 to 15 games on Kyle, I think there's a legitimate chance that Eric could win this matchup. It's the second most intriguing matchup in the Final Four, and we'll get to it. But right now, you know, Eric won his Rookie of the Year. I've won a Rookie of the Year season. I'm going to go with Eric to beat Kyle here on a cycle strategy. I think that there's been enough time with his newborn. Congratulations, Eric, of course. I think that he's going to be paying attention here, and I think he wants a championship bid. I'm going to go with Eric to cycle Kyle out.
So I was just looking at the Giannis updates because I think that's pretty big for this matchup.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like he's close to playing, but probably is not going to play tomorrow either. If he's available for most of the games, then it really does become interesting. I just want to review Kyle's team and the injuries real quick before I make my pick. Kyle is relatively well. I'm gonna pick Kyle.
Okay.
But I'm gonna hope for Eric.
I also love that you're picking against Eric because I still think that there's a rivalry brewing between you and Eric, as there's always been. So I think it's so funny that you're picking Kyle here. It's fantastic for the narratives. So I like it. I'm going to be interested, and clearly I'm going to be watching The Wire. It's going to be a very interesting matchup, but I'll give you a more interesting matchup, Joel Gibson. It is the number 2 seed, Doug, versus the number 3 seed, Mr. Modest. Joel, I've won how many straight? 4, right? 4 straight. So I'm going for my 5th straight. I'm going to call it now. I believe this is the championship matchup. I think that either Doug or I, whoever wins this matchup, is going to win the championship. And, Wemby, it's just a little sweeter when you have Joker versus Wemby. This is going to be a super interesting matchup for a lot of different reasons. Trey Murphy is back today. Booker's going to be back during the matchup. Am I going to get Jay Will back? I don't know, but if you look at the lines between me and Doug, credit that he did not have Shea for a lot. But this is going to come down to cycling. And I know damn well Doug is going to be on the wire. And I think this is going to be a fierce matchup. There is a lot of different what do I want to say? A lot of different, and this is going to be an oxymoron, a lot of different similarities to our teams. We both are very similar, but we're also both very different. He's a block heavy team where I'm like a block medium team. We're both super close in steals. We're both super close in free throw percentage. We've got a lot of different things. But what I think is going to make the difference here is going to be the ads, who is healthy, who's not healthy. There's a lot of different things that are going into this matchup. And I think that I have the advantage here because why? I've had 30 double doubles. I assume I'm going to get one tonight. I have 29 currently. I win that category by almost double. I have 5 triple doubles. I'm going to win that category for sure. Those 2 categories, just in general, gives me the advantage that I think I'm going to be able to find 5 other categories against Doug, specifying my cycling. And so I'm going to pick me to win and win this championship. And I'm going to try to do it with virtually no sleep. Keep in mind, the disadvantage for me in this matchup, if you ask me, is going to be my lack of sleep and lack of concentration over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to have a newborn. I'm going to have no sleep. And I'm going to be adding players every day. I have an alarm set on my phone literally for 10:50 a.m. every morning just to make sure I have my ads in. I'm not joking. This matchup means a lot to me. It means a lot to me because I eliminated Doug in Cody's league as well. It'll be twice as sweet if in 1 year I can eliminate him in my 2 most important leagues. I'm going to pick myself. I do wish Doug good luck, but I think that my team is going to run over him. Fingers crossed. He has Shea versus Joker for the MVP. He has Wemby versus Joker for who's going to have the best free or actual fantasy player moving forward. I'm going to show that the old heads are still in it, and I'm going to win this matchup.
I am going to pick you, but Doug, if he's willing to run a double cycle on you, could make things interesting. He has a very strong core, and if they have just a crazy week. SGA, LaMelo, and Wemby. Their ceiling is kind of untapped. Those three together.
Yeah, and they
I
have to
feel
be
like
healthy. That's what I 100% agree with you. It's going to come down to health. It's going to come down to the cycling. And like I said, I think that this is the most intriguing matchup of the entire second round for sure. I wish Doug good luck. He's the home team, and I'm going to try to steal it from him.
the hardest part of Dynasty sometimes, especially when you make it this far, is debating whether to go for it or to let go of some of those kind of borderline hold guys. I'll be very interested to see what Doug does with some of his younger players that are good-ish right now, but if he wants to go for it, he'll probably have to cycle them out.
Yep.
Good luck, Doug. We are all pulling for you.
Yikes. All right, and then we're going to finish with the consolation bracket here. It's going to be Steven at Matt, and we've already talked about this at length, so it shouldn't take too long. Matt has the opportunity to really fuck up Steven's life, but Steven put up a monster line over a 2-week period. And it's so funny to me that we're at 36 minutes at this point, Joel Gibson. And
the longest video of the year.
The longest video of the year, because there are so many things riding on this. Matt's the home team, but man, I think Steven's going to win this matchup. And Jake, hey, 1-4, like 2-4 is great. But like, unless you start calling Matt, call his mom, call Pam, figure out what needs to happen for him to double cycle. It's going to take a double cycle to beat Steven. And Steven's been having some monster lines. I think that Steven's going to win this matchup. I think Steven's going to get the number 1 pick. I think that this is a crazy destined situation where he got his pick back from Cody, and now he has a chance to get the number 1 pick. Just incredible. This is also a compelling matchup. The 3 matchups are all very compelling, and this is just a prelude to next year. I think it's going to be all of the matchups when we get to the playoffs are going to be super interesting next year. But for this one, I'm going to take Steven to get the number 1 pick. Joel, what do you think?
Also, I'm going to pick Steven. It's really interesting. Matt has no reason to go for it, but he didn't have any reason to go for it last matchup. He does have $24 of claim budget remaining, so he really could run a double cycle effectively throughout the whole matchup if he wants to go for it and fuck Steven up for some reason. I hope he does, not because I want to see Steven fail, but just because I love competition.
And Steven has been known to not pay attention when he needs to. He does have a record of that. And you know damn well he's not watching this 38-minute video where we're telling him, like, hey, he's going to have a real problem if he doesn't start cycling. But Hero's healthy for Steven. There's a lot of pieces for Steven that he could really go for the number 1 pick here. In worst case scenario, I think Steven, worst case scenario, Steven has the 3 pick. That's the worst case scenario for Steven. He could have the 1 or the 3. That is where he's at right now. Matt is only battling for Doug. So I'm very interested to see what the 2 of those guys do. And also, I'm interested to see the interaction of adds and drops between all the matchups. Kyle can't do anything, but Eric, myself, Doug, Steven, Matt, we're all out there on the wire during these situations, and teams waiting to see if any kind of value drops, you know, especially like a Neiman or something like that, a Joel, Cody.
Sharks in the water, baby.
Sharks in the water. So it's going to be really interesting. But anything else from you, Joel Gibson? If you hurry, we'll get under 40 minutes. If you hurry, we'll get under 40 minutes.
Good luck, everyone. I look forward to beating your asses next year.
Yeah. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, Doug. Hey, just keep Kelsey and I in your thoughts if you could. 10:30 tomorrow morning. She's gonna go in for the C-section. Just give us a couple thoughts tonight. That's all I'm asking for. We love everyone. We'll see you guys and next week for the mid cap review. Peace.